Hi everybody! I'm going to show you how to make a cool tile like this out of metal. It will have symmetry and the designs will repeat. It's inspired by designs from RTK Studios, who live in Ojai, and Malibu Catalina tiles, Mexican, Spanish, Islamic, and Chinese tiles throughout history. You can find more information below. So first, you want to make sure that you have a paper that you should have received in your supplies, a foam piece, and a piece of metal. Alright, so first we start with the paper. You might notice that it has two layers and it's folded over. Just leave it in this square, and we want to fold it in half. So line up those edges, make your crease, and then fold it over again so you've made a smaller square. And this square is 1/4 the size of the one that we started with. 1, 2, 3, 4 of these small squares can fit in the one larger one. It's kind of like having 4 quarters that make $1, right? Okay, so I'll put this one aside. You can open and see your 4 squares. You're only going to be drawing on one of them. Here's an example of what someone had done before. And what I want you to do is make just a little light circle in the middle of where those creases cross so that you know where the center of your paper will be. And then you also know where the outside corner of your paper is. So fold it back into that quarter-size square, and using the design rules of Catalina and Malibu tiles and Islamic tiles, you're going to use geometric shapes, and you can repeat them. You can use flowing lines from nature, but we're not using any pictures of things in real life. So I'm going to start, here's the center of where my paper is. I find that it's really good to make some kind of shape right near that center. And it's also good to have something out at your outer corner because that will help make a strong design. So I'm going to make a half circle here, and I'm going to repeat it and make a half circle here. I'm just making this up as I go. And I would like you to make your own designs. Now, you can use mine as inspiration and the other ones you see on the web page as inspiration. But come up with your own thing. We don't want to copy. I'm repeating a few lines here. And I'm going to add one more right there. And I'm going to stop. Okay. Once you have that design on 1/4, open up the paper, and you'll notice again it had 2 layers. Think of this as a hamburger bun with the bottom, and it was sliced but not all the way through, and there's a top. So now this is where I take my metal and I put it inside on the bottom half of my bun, and then I close down the top. And I make sure I put it on top of my foam. And now I'll take a pencil. And I am tracing over the lines that I just drew. And when I do that, I can feel the metal stretching underneath. I'm making little dents in that metal. And that's how it transfers the design from the paper to the metal. Pick this up so we can peek under. See? You can see the same design. All right, now I want to repeat this. It needs to be repeated 4 times. So I have 1. Now I just rotate or turn the paper 90 degrees. Keep it inside my paper. I'm still working on top of my foam, and I trace over the same lines. So you only draw the design once on 1/4 of the paper, and you repeat it 4 times on your metal. And that's how you get your whole design. So again, I pick it up. Now I have 2 parts finished, 2/4. I rotate, turn that metal, keep it inside the paper, still working on top of the foam, and I trace over. Now, if you tear the paper while you're tracing, what do you think is going a little off? If that paper tears, you're probably pressing too hard. If when you pick it up and you can barely see your lines, that means that you need to press just a little bit harder. Okay, so now for my 4th, turn it 1/4, get it in there, trace over my lines. And you can take your time. You don't have to go real fast. I actually love the way it feels when I feel that metal pressing inside. All right, here we go. There it is. So look how cool this little design made that. Now the next step, if you would like, is to add more details. So I can work directly on my paper, on my metal, and add more to it if I want to. The only rule is that if I add it on one part, I have to add the same thing on the 3 other quarters. So you can add more lines, you can add new shapes. Always make sure you're still working on top of that foam. One thing I saw that I learned from some of my students is to make dots. And it almost feels like when we get that, we get a real jewelry effect. So try this out, start step by step, and refer to the directions on this webpage. Thanks. Have a great time.